Hello everyone and welcome back to more Final Fantasy VII. We are at part 11. In the last part we just reached this town of North Coral, or whatever you want to pronounce it as. This game is not voice acted, so there's no pronunciations in the game. And on this part we are going to continue on to a new area, the Gold Saucer, but first we're going to get Barret to explain to us just what exactly happened to the people of this town that he supposedly caused. So, yeah, let's get into that. Maybe this will give us some insight on why Barret is the way that he is in this game. Especially since Barret doesn't seem to be denying it at all. He is taking full responsibility for what happened here, which doesn't seem to be very much like him. He tends to like to blame things on other people or other things, specifically the Shinra. But here, he's taking full responsibility. So, Corel used to be a coal mining town, and then the Shinra came along and was like, hey, you guys should build a Mako reactor here. Don't worry about the miners who are going to now be unemployed. We'll take care of them. Just build a Mako reactor here, and we'll employ all of you to be able to keep workings. It'll improve your lives, it'll make your jobs easier, all that. And everybody seems all for it. This is before Shinra has kind of fully taken over the world, except Dine, who is Barret's best friend, who is very hesitant on this change. He feels kind of resistant to it, because he's so used to the coal mines. That's his life, but they're encouraging him to go along with it, and eventually he reluctantly agrees, and then the reactor is built, and there you go. Happy ending, right? Well, wrong. The reactor exploded in some freak accident. While Barret and Dine were out of town for a few days. The Shinra thought that it was caused by some kind of rebel faction, so they went to Corel and just burned it to the ground and massacred everyone there, because they thought it was some rebel faction that caused the accident, when in reality it wasn't. It was just an accident. So because of that, Barret hates the Shinra for what they did to his town, and he was the biggest advocator for the reactor being built, so everyone blames him for what happened, and he feels incredible guilt for what happened. So because of that, he hates the Shinra, but he also hates himself for letting this happen to the town, for ever trusting the Shinra. To which Tifa will say, it's not your fault, Barret. We all fell for the Shinra's lies back then. We all believed that they meant well, and they had the people's interest in mind, which they clearly don't. And nobody really knows how to react to this revelation of Barret's pretty dark past. Yuffie doesn't care, but it's pretty clear Yuffie has other things in mind, and we'll get into that later. And anyways, we are now going to a new area. This area, we'll be back to this area. I'm not going to be doing much here immediately because there's not a lot you really can do, but trust me, we'll be coming back to this place later. This, where we're heading, is the Gold Saucer, and we get this nice little FMV that introduces it. Like I said, when FMVs in this game are just kind of showing off environments, I think they look really good. It's just they look more dated when that's pretty cool, but they look more dated when there's people in them. But like this stuff, you just got to keep in mind, 1997, like, this isn't a video game. People, video games in 1997 looked like, if you've seen what Mario 64 looks like, or the first Resident Evil or Crash Bandicoot, this looks so different than all of those. It was something so wholly new. So that's very, very impressive. Anyways, the Gold Saucer is kind of this theme park of sorts. There's a ton of activities to do here, a ton of like games to play, stuff like that. which will be important for side quests later. In fact, this is where we will be getting Cloud's ultimate limit break, along with materia that improves our summoning abilities. So we'll be back here. This is also where you can race chocobos, which we will be doing next part, because it's required at one point. And racing chocobos is very important for a side quest, the chocobo side quest way later in the game. So you'll be spending a lot of time here, so get used to this music. But anyways, Aerith kind of wanting a break. She's like, let's go have fun. You know, let's take a break. Let's go have fun. All that stuff. But Barret, of course, is not in the best of moods right now. To which Barret's just like, can you guys just leave me alone? Just go do whatever. I don't care. Just leave me alone. And Aerith is kind of poking the bear at this point. To which Tifa is like, isn't that kind of harsh? And then Aerith is like, you just gotta act normal when this happened. Which, as you know, that's not what you're supposed to do when somebody's upset like this. So then Aerith is like, keeping on poking the bear, and then Barret's just like, he just kind of snaps a little bit and then runs off. So Aerith kind of fucked up a little bit there. I think he's mad. Oh, you think, Aerith? But Tifa's like, he'll be fine. But anyways, I'm just going to do the bare minimum of what's required here, which is we're actually going to be meeting a new party member right here. You can play games and stuff here if you want, but it's kind of more of a waste of time than anything else, because there's not a lot you can get here. You can get some stuff, but there's not a ton of stuff you can get here right off the bat. You kind of got to come back later to get everything. But this guy, this is a fortune teller, and his name, the pronunciation has been debated. I'm going to call him Kate Sith, just because that's how I read it, but I know it's technically not pronounced like that. I think it's pronounced Ketchi or something, but just bear with me. I'll be saying Kate Sith, just because that's how I've always pronounced it. That's how I read it, so there you go. But he's a fortune teller apparently. Also, what even is he? He's that Moogle thing, and there's a cat on top. I love Kate Sith's design, but he's also giving up just these nonsense fortunes. So Cloud's like, why am I wasting my time here? Your lucky color is blue. Kate Sith, like I said, he will be joining our party. Story-wise, I think he's pretty neat what they do with him, but gameplay-wise, I don't really use him unless he's required. He will be required for just a bit here in just a second to be used, but then other than that, I think he's only required one other time in the game, and I just don't use him a lot. It's not because he's necessarily bad, it's just because his limit breaks are pretty bad. Actually, his limit breaks are interesting. His limit breaks, he rolls a dice, and depending on his roll, the limit break can either be really good or really bad. It's just a kind of just randomness element. So I'm not a huge fan of that, but anyways, we're just gonna head to the battle square. There's a character later that will have worse limit breaks than him, though. We still got 2 party members left to get, so that's fun. But now something's wrong here. We went to the battle square, and now this guy's dead. So something's happening. Something's seriously wrong here, so this isn't good. So Cloud's, of course, going to investigate to see what's going on. And it looks like there's been a massacre here, so that's not good. And then, of course, the immediate thought is Sephiroth, but then Cloud examines closer and realizes, no, these are gunshot wounds. Sephiroth would never do this. Excuse me, but... And then this guy, who's still barely alive, says a man with a gun on his arm did this. So, this isn't looking good. Oh, excuse me, but anyways, Now, the owner of the gold saucer comes up. His name's Dio, and he's like, "You guys did this. I'm gonna throw you into prison." This part never made much sense to me because later on, we kind of find a way to get out of the prison. But like the system down there doesn't really make sense. Like you get thrown into this prison, and then there's a way to get out, and that I'll get into later. But it's like some of these people are probably murderers and criminals and stuff. So like, why is there kind of just such an easy way to get out? Anyways, we're getting thrown into this prison though, and that's not good. But yeah. This is all part of just a misunderstanding. Dio isn't a bad person necessarily. He's just kind of misunderstanding what's happening here. He thinks that we are the ones that killed them all. But now we are in the desert prison, which is actually where the original town of Coral used to be. But because it all got destroyed by the Shinra, it's now just kind of this barren wasteland, and everybody who survived the massacre in Corel moved north, and that's why it's North Corel now. So, but anyways, now we are going to just kind of be tracking down Barret, and just to see what's going on, because I mean, we think he just killed all these people, and then Barret's not helping the situation. He's like, I gotta deal with something, just leave me alone. So Barret's gotten to a really dark place. Just a fair warning, this part is going to get dark. This game, like I said, this game is not really meant for children. It goes to some pretty dark, uncomfortable places, and this is kind of one of the first real instances of just how dark this game can get if the Sephiroth Nibelheim incident wasn't enough for you. So just fair warning, if you don't like that kind of stuff, this game probably is not for you, because it's full of it. I love it though. I think it's great, and I love how this game really takes advantage of the lack of censorship. There are enemies down here though, and this is probably one of the only times I'm going to be showing off Cait Sith in action. Like I said, I barely use him. He's just not my favorite party member. Also, I don't like how he hops around. These enemies, they can mug you and then steal stuff from you, and then after a few turns they'll just run away, so you've got to kill them quick so they don't get away with your stolen stuff. Unless you want to just, you know, lose a bunch of items from them. But if you kill them pretty quick, you'll be fine. See, I got it all back. You'll get it all back. You just gotta kill them. And they can also run away with it, and that's not good, because as you saw, they can steal equipment and stuff. They can steal gil. They can steal some pretty useful items. So yeah, just be careful with that. Here I am. I removed all the materia from Cait Sith because we're not going to be having him for very long. And I also am giving his silver bangle, or silver armlet, to Cloud, because it's a better weapon than the carbon bangle, which we've had since we got out of Midgar. And here I'm just readjusting materia because it has extra materia slot, so that's fun. There's also this dude following me for some reason. But yeah, now we just need to find out what Barret's up to, what's going on here. Did Barret kill those people? I don't know. I mean, who else would it be? Noises. Oh no. He doesn't even... See, my reaction would be, because he hasn't even met Cait Sith yet, my reaction would be, if I saw that thing, that cat on top of a giant Moogle, I would be like, what the fuck is this? But he just shot the guy behind him, and then he's like, I don't want any of you to get involved, leave me alone. And then Aerith is like, hey, that's Cloud's line. So then Barret's going to clarify what's happening here. He did not kill those people. There's another man who got the same operation as him, which seems a little outlandish at first, but it'll get into the backstory right here. So him and Dine, as they're heading home, they see, from being out of town, they see that their village is up in flames from the Shinra attacking it. And of course that's not a good sight to see, because now they think that all their loved ones, including Dine's daughter, Marlene, is dead. That's right. Barret, Marlene is not Barret's actual daughter. Marlene is Dine's daughter, who Barret found alive after going back to Corel to see all the damages, and took him in for himself, for reasons that you'll see here in just a second. And the Shinra took pretty extreme measures here. Like, they didn't even question, they just assumed when the reactor exploded that it was some rebel faction, and immediately went from not even questioning it or anyone to just massacring the entire city. They just can't even risk having their power remotely threatened by anyone, can they? It could hurt their profits. I don't know how these 4 people haven't shot in either of them a single time, but oh well, here comes Scarlet, trying to take care of them. But then, Dine is about to fall, Barret's holding on, and then, as they're shooting, man, the gunshot hits both of their hands, and there goes Dine. So because of that, Barret got a gun grafted on his arm, because he couldn't use his arm anymore anyway, and he wanted to use it kind of as a statement to be like, I'm going to be taking revenge on the Shinra with the arm that they took from me, you know? And Dine did the same thing, but for other reasons that we will get into in a minute. We will be meeting Dine soon, because Dine is still alive, and because he fell there, Barret thought Dine was dead, and he went to Corel alone to find Marlene and took her in as his own. Which also really does explain why Marlene means so much to him, not only because she's just a child, but because she's kind of all that he has left from Corel, this town that he lost his wife, he lost, like, he thought he lost his best friend. Marlene was kind of all he had left of this town, of his life. So it really does make sense that he would be like so care about her so much. But yeah, I'm just readjusting the materia here. And also, man, I lost my train of thought. Quality commentary, everyone. Anyways, we are going to go up and confront Dine now, who is also in the desert prison. So yeah. Once again, I love these backgrounds. This place just feels kind of grimy and dirty, and that's kind of how the Midgar section feels at the beginning, and I just love that. It gives the game so much personality. It makes it stand out so much compared to, like, just, I know it looks dated, but even graphically, no game other than this really looks like this game. Even Final Fantasy 8 and 9 have very different art styles from 7. And those games look really great in their own right, and are probably on just a technical level graphically superior from 7. But 7 just has this look that I think is excellent. But I'm going to just kind of show off here. If you go out into the desert, there's no way out. You'll just kind of get lost, and then eventually somebody will come and pick you up. I also am doing this because there's this cool enemy that you can find here that I want to show off. Yeah, so don't go out that way, or any other way except the way that I'm about to show you here, because you will just end up getting lost, and it's a great time, and eventually somebody will come and pick you up. But yeah. so we're just shredding along. And then soon we will be confronting Dine to see, because he is the one that killed all those people, so clearly Dine is not exactly okay. This is the enemy I want to show off. It's this giant-ass worm. I always love this thing. It just kind of, it's not a hard enemy really, it just kind of casts Quake a lot. It can do a good amount of damage, but, you know, because there's only one of it per fight, you know, you'll be fine. But it just looks cool. I like the enemy design a lot. I think this design is also in Final Fantasy X, but it also takes like 3 years to beat because it has like 35,000 HP or something in that game. Anyways, as I said in the last part, I kind of think 10, I don't like 10 that much, like from a gameplay perspective. I love the story, I just think as a game, Final Fantasy X takes a little too many steps back to make me think that it's as good of a game as 7 or 9 or 6 or even 5. I say even 5 as if I don't like 5 that much. I love 5, but I still overall enjoyed it, I would say, just because the story is super strong, but the game takes just so many steps backwards in gameplay to me, and also making the level up system, and it still doesn't offer a ton of freedom unless you're playing on the international sphere grid, in which case it's really easy to fuck up something and then you'll kind of be screwed. But if you're playing on the normal sphere grid, it doesn't offer much more freedom from a traditional level up in class system, but it makes the entire process manual. So instead of just getting stat buffs automatically, it's like, yeah, why wouldn't I want to up my strength? You have to do that all manually now, and it just makes it take way longer, and it kind of pads the game out. Also, the game is stupidly linear. There's no longer these open maps like in the other games. It's just, a lot of the maps are just kind of straight lines, and that kind of takes the fun out of it. I know all Final Fantasy games are kind of linear, but there's usually a point in most of them where they open up. In this game it's Disc 3, or even Disc 2 to an extent. Usually it's when you get the airship that the game really just opens up and you can kind of just do whatever. 10 never really has that moment, and that's kind of dumb. And I'm fine with linear games, just like I said, these games for the most part are very linear and I still love them, but they don't exactly feel restrictive, if you know what I mean. There's a difference between linear and restrictive, and I think Final Fantasy X is kind of restrictive. What I'm doing here is I'm looking for enemies, because we will be getting an enemy skill called Laser, which is a gravity-based spell. And if you know anything about gravity-based spells in this game, or the Final Fantasy games, it's that they don't do a certain amount of damage, they do percentage-based damage. So Laser here hits pretty consistently on a lot of enemies and will take away half their health no matter what. So if an enemy has a ton of HP, then Laser will do a ton of damage because it'll take away half their health. Half their current health. So you can't ever actually kill something with Laser, but you can get it down to very low health early on, so you can kill it with another attack in like just a couple hits. But I get kind of bad luck. I'm trying to get them to use laser, and it takes a minute for them to actually use it, which is a little annoying. I'm kind of getting bad RNG this playthrough. I guess it's just what happens when you record stuff, but it's fine. This isn't required by any means, but it still is useful, especially in the next part. I'm going to be showing you a really good grinding spot, and Laser is really useful there because the enemies there can have a lot of HP. There we go. See, it just took away half of Yuki's current health. Now I just need to get the use Laser on. Oh, yep. There they go. And now I can just finish them off. For some reason I thought Barret had the enemy skill, but it was actually Cloud that has it currently. I think I'm going to move that over to Barret soon, but anyways, if not this part, then later, but anyways, we are just continuing on now, finishing this battle, and then we will go and confront Dyne. Beautiful. Done. got some nice level ups. It's always fun. I'm just menuing here. What am I doing? What am I doing? I can't remember what I'm doing. Oh well. This is just me being indecisive with materia again. I love this system, and there's so many options, but for me it's like, then I'm always thinking like, but if I do this option, then I'm not doing this option, and that kind of drives me crazy. But still, you know, it's fine. And here's dying. The confrontation. Well, Dine is clearly not exactly happy to see Barret. After all, Barret was the one that pushed Dine to agree to build the reactor at all, which caused this all to happen. But Barret is like, what? I get wanting to get revenge. That's what Barret's kind of doing with the Shinra. That's kind of why. Remember how I said there's an important distinction between Barret's personal hatred for the Shinra and his cause of saving the world? It's because the reason he wants to save the planet is not because he actually cares about the planet. It's because he just wants to get revenge on the Shinra for what they did to him. And he is asking Dine, I get wanting to get revenge, but why are you killing people that aren't even involved? And it's because what happened in Corel has caused Dine to kind of lose it. He thought he lost everything. And he kind of loses it and just loses all faith in humanity, so he just kind of wants to destroy everything. And then Barret tells him that Marlene is still alive, in which Dine then says, we should fight. And Barret's like, what the hell are you talking about? To which Dine says that he's got to go take Marlene to her mother, who is dead. So he's basically saying, I'm gonna go kill her too. He's completely lost his mind. And Barret refuses to have anyone else join in on this fight because this is something he needs to confront himself. So now we have a boss fight with only Barret against Dine, and this boss fight isn't very hard, especially if Barret's in the back row. You just gotta cast stuff that hurts on him, or just hit him. It's kind of just a back and forth, and when you get to kind of low health, then cast Cure, and that's about it. This boss fight is definitely more significant from the story, because, like, man, Dine's gone to a very dark place. He's just killing people for pretty much no reason. He just wants to destroy everything, and now he's saying that he's got to go kill Marlene too, his own daughter. So, he's completely lost it. But yeah, this boss fight itself is not very hard. Just put Barret in the back row, and you'll be fine. Also make sure he has something to heal him, whether that's potions or the cure spell, ideally, on him. I was yawning a little bit there, I'm sorry. It's kind of late at night on this, so yeah. But anyways, here is the big shot again, and there's the fight. We've done it. Dine stumbles back, and there you go. We'll get some good experience on Barret. So, great. And we got another silver armlet. Awesome. And I am just going to kind of stay quiet for this scene. Let you guys watch this for yourself. And that's going to do it for this part of Final Fantasy VII. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time for a much lighter part, I assure you.